This sounds like the daftest thing to make a video about, but I thought it was worthwhile making a video about how to actually get inside the T1. It took me ages to figure out which screws to undo that actually got you inside this damn keyboard, because until you figure out which screws to undo, you're not going to get anywhere with this keyboard. You can't fix it, you can't do anything. And believe me, it's actually easier than you think to get inside this thing once you know what screws to take off. So this is how you get into the T1 and how you don't get into the T1. So starting with the back panel, those screws there above the outputs are actually to do with the hinge for the lid. You won't get into the keyboard by undoing any of those screws. In fact, the one at the bottom that's missing and the one above it are actually holding the end panel on. As I move across the back, the screws that are in line with the outputs and the key pedals and the MIDI sockets, there you go. Moving along a bit further. They are actually holding the audio board to the back of the chassis. Again, you won't get into the keyboard by undoing any of those. We carry on moving along. There was a screw there for the motherboard. Obviously I've got the motherboard out at the moment, so there's no screw there. Two more screws at the top there, again for a hinge. Going to the other end, we see another two screws at the top for a hinge, and another screw with one missing for the end panel. Then the screws to hold the AC outlet in, screws for the power socket, screws for the Korg serial number, etc. And then there would be three screws there where the ROM cards actually poke through the chassis. Of course, I've got the motherboard out, so they're not there either. So, for want of a better coinage here, you don't have to undo any screws on the back to get inside. So moving to the bottom of the keyboard, there's a whole raft of screws down the front there, and again they actually hold on this particular side, they hold on the disk drive and the side panel. And then there should be a screw there that's missing. Somebody's already had a go at this, but that again holds on the side panel. And then there's a screw that's missing at the back there. That actually holds the back panel to the keyboard, but again, it's pointless on doing that because you won't get inside. Then that hole there is where a foot should be. I've got some new feet to put on this. And in actual fact, that screw there is the one you should be taking out. Like so. Because that is the secret. If we move down the keyboard, a bit further, there's another one there. And again, moving down the keyboard onto the other side of the stand, there's another one there. So they're the only three screws that you need to take out, and they're in a line from one end of the keyboard to the other, and they're about, I would say, 10 centimeters from the back of the keyboard. And once you get those off, you get into the keyboard. So once you've got those three screws out of the keyboard, you can then just lift up and open. It is really simple. That took me so long to work out. Hopefully it won't take you as long because I've told you how. I've been told it helps the channel out greatly if you hit the like button if you enjoyed the contents of this video. If you want to be notified about future videos that may be made for the channel, please hit the subscribe button.